Hi everyone, and welcome back to Maroni Makes. Today, I'm gonna be making a blueberry pie. This recipe choice was inspired by Master Chef because my boyfriend and I were watching it as we usually do during dinner, and one of their challenges was to create a beautiful blueberry pie with a filling that stays inside the crust after you've cut it. So we're gonna start off by first making the pie crust. The recipe that I'm using to make this pie crust is one that my parents have used for so many years, so I don't have an exact reference for it, but I'll leave all of the ingredients as well as their quantities down in the description below. So to start off, I'm using this chilled bowl that contains 3 1/4 cups of flour. To it, I'm gonna be adding some cane sugar and salt. It's 1/4 cup of sugar, half a teaspoon of salt. So I'm gonna add these ingredients in, using a whisk because I learned from last time that using a fork does not whisk all of the dry ingredients together nicely. Now I'm gonna take 1 cup of butter, so 2 sticks. I'm gonna cut them into 1/2-inch cubes and add them to my dry ingredients. I ruined it. This butter's getting so warm. I'm gonna use a fork to break it all apart, get this all into a combined mixture. I don't know if this is even gonna work.
And you put it in the title.
It did not work. 5-minute video. Using my hands would be so much better, but then it melts the butter.
You have a press. Remember the bean press?
You want to use a mashed potato? No, I don't think that's the right. If it ends up getting ruined, it ends up getting ruined. Here I have the butter and flour mixture. I've broken up the butter a little bit more with my hands to kind of get, what I've read is you need kind of pea-sized pieces of butter chunks in here. To this, I'm gonna be adding 2/3 cups of iced water. Again, very important that the water is ice cold. You wanna keep this mixture as cool as possible. And then after I add this, hopefully it'll become a nice cohesive dough, and then I'm gonna let that rest in the fridge for about 30-45 minutes. Watch this just be a total disaster. So I finished mixing this. It looks a little bit like a hot mess right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull out some plastic wrap, put all of this dough in there and kind of mush it together with my hands. So hopefully it'll all come together. Oh. Me versus plastic, and the plastic wins. If this pie crust doesn't work out, this video is ruined. So I'm just gonna use my hands to kind of push the mixture together. Screw this. This is a clean surface. I'm just gonna knead it a little bit on here. Maybe that's like the ultimate sin. Desperate times call for desperate measures. It's kind of coming together. Looks a little bit more like dough. Oh, I'm making a mess on the ground. Mystery guest. Here we have our pie dough. I'm sure I've way overhandled it and the butter is much warmer than it should be. So I'll put this in the fridge for 30-45 minutes and we'll roll it out and see how it turns out. While this is cooling, let's get started on the blueberry filling. Hey guys, so I had my first filming mistake. I didn't have my mic on for this entire clip, and there's no audio since you can't go back and refilm after mixing everything. So this voiceover will have to do. I hope this doesn't sound too weird. Anyways, let's get back to the blueberry filling. I did adjust this recipe a bit based off some of the comments. I'm starting off with 4 cups of fresh washed blueberries, and to that I'm adding 3/4 cups of sugar, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and here's one of the differences. I added 5 tablespoons of cornstarch. The additional tablespoons should help the filling stick together more after baking. The second change to the recipe was the addition of 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I think the rationale there was purely for flavor, and honestly, it was totally worth it. Here's a small clip of me being amazed by the difference in the size of blueberries that I got. Mix everything together and the filling is done. Easy peasy. All right, so sorry about the audio issues. I remembered this time to turn the mic back on, so we're all good. Here is the pie crust that I've just pulled from the fridge. You can see there's little speckles of butter in the crust. It still feels a little bit soft, but honestly, I'm a little bit impatient waiting, so this could be the very first disaster recipe we have, but fingers crossed that it still will taste good at least. First thing I'm gonna do is split this pie dough in half, and I'm gonna roll out 1/2 to be the base of it, and then the other half we're gonna try to do a lattice pattern on top of the pie. So I put some parchment paper down. Maybe it means sprinkling some flour will be unnecessary, but I'd rather not have the dough stick. 1/2 of the dough, rolling pin. Let's beat this dough up. Not sure how thick this crust should be. I think it should be maybe like a 1/4 inch thick. Is that like 3 millimeters? I don't know the conversion. Also, preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm gonna test the diameter of the pie crust so far. This is a 9 1/4 inch diameter pie dish. It looks like I'll need to flatten this a little bit more. This is also 1/4 of an inch bigger diameter than what the recipe is asking for. We'll see how that impacts the cook time. Here's the thickness, you can't tell, of crust that I'm gonna commit to. Maybe it'll be like in MasterChef when Gordon Ramsay yells at the person because it's underdone. Just using a little pastry brush here to brush off the excess flour. I was gonna try to make this kind of like a cute crimped edge. Maybe I still can. I'm just gonna fiddle around with the dough a little bit. I'm gonna pop this back into the fridge while I cut out lengths of pie dough that we're gonna use to create the lattice, just so we're keeping all of this dough nice and chilled before it goes into the oven. Here's the other half of the dough. Here she is. I'm gonna add in the blueberry mixture. So here she is, filled now. I'm gonna use this little pizza roller to hopefully create some nice strips. I'm just gonna trim off that edge. They're a little bit uneven, but it's a homemade pie, so that's okay. And I believe the pattern is you do, wait, should we change the camera angle and bring it in closer? Oh, that's perfect actually.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Oven's ready. 5 strips, one direction. Here's the part where I think it's every other strip. You do this, and then these across. I think this is how you do a lattice. Word. This is so stressful. Wow. Okay, now I'm gonna just trim off the extra edges here. Probably should have looked up more on how to do pie crusts. Lattice work so far. I'm gonna take a fork, the back of it, and just kind of push all the way around the edge to give it kind of a nice crimped look. We keep those lattices in place. The completed lattice work on the pie. It doesn't say to do an egg wash, so I'm gonna commit to not putting an egg yolk on here. Normally that would give it like a really nice golden color. See how it turns out without anything on top? I think the butter should help keep it nice and crispy. I'm gonna put this on top of this baking sheet with edges because I'm not sure if the blueberries are gonna bubble up at all or if there's enough volume that it might potentially spill over. This is gonna go in for 50 minutes and I'll see you when it's done. Hi, it's me, much later now, as you can tell by the wardrobe change. Here is the completed blueberry pie. She's still actually warm. I'm really hoping the cornstarch in the dry mixture did its job and kind of, I don't want to say congealed, that sounds gross. Basically just is gonna hold all the berries together when I go in for the first cut. Let's see how this goes. Let's bring you closer. Hello. So here's a little bit of a different angle, but you can see the pie now. When it first came out, it was really liquidy actually, and a lot of bubbling hot juices from the berries. But as it sat, it seems to kind of have reabsorbed it. I'm nervous. Gordon Ramsay said any good pie should be able to hold its filling when you take it out. It doesn't look promising. Also, I don't have a pie scoop or like a pie spatula. Oh no. Trying to keep this cute. Moment of truth. Ooh, a little bit of falling, but honestly, not bad. These berries look so good. I'll come down here. Hi, what a terrible angle. That's pretty good. I honestly have never had blueberry pie before. The berries are really nice. These ones are just so soft and melt away in your mouth. Also, very happy to say the pie crust turned out well. I was really worried for a moment that I was handling it too much and melting the butter so it wasn't gonna turn out, but this is pretty good. Another success. I'll have to find a harder recipe for next time so that I can add a failure, get it over with so I'm not afraid of it anymore. So if you wanna stay tuned to see something hopefully difficult next week, go ahead, like and subscribe. This has been Maroni Makes, and thank you so much for watching.